Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some very strong resistance levels for Ethereum and where I think we are most likely going to see a rejection off of. I'm also going to cover a very similar pattern I'm seeing in the charts to a pattern we had back in the prior bear market. So if you guys enjoy the content, please do consider leaving a like and subscribing. So we have this zone going from around 1740 all the way around to $1,900 that is going to be very strong resistance. Okay, so we had essentially two rejections off this level back in February, and then we flipped it into support. So this was the level we had more or less a triple bottom off of in the middle of 2021. And you can see how we had strong support being held at this level. This was the level that we held on 3 separate occasions we bounced off of, and then we formed a new all-time high. And you can also see just prior to this massive capitulation, this was the area we had a pause at. We had a few bounces, but ultimately it didn't hold and we've kind of capitulated lower, and now we're starting to retest this level. So my expectation is that generally we will not see a reclaim of this on our first attempt. I think we are going to have to see multiple attempts of getting back above this before we can definitively reclaim it and hold it as support. So I think I'm going to be expecting some sort of rejection, whether it be right here we come back down or some sort of move back up, say into the 1800s, and then from there we reject. I don't expect us to reclaim this on our first attempt. And just to give you some illustration, this is what a reclaim would look like, where we get back above this definitively, hold it for several weeks, holding it as support, and then continue higher. So I don't expect something like this to happen, basically because we had support off this level on 5 different occasions over the span of around 1 year. Okay, so I don't think that when we have such a very strong level of support, we're going to have just a reclaim on one attempt. I think it's going to be a longer process where we have to take a few attempts to actually reclaim it, and we need a little bit longer of consolidation and accumulation before that can happen. I also want to switch over a moving average that has confluence with this region, and this is the 100-day simple moving average. So what it does is it takes the closing price of the last 100 days, averages it together, and that's this blue line here. And you can see how we're coming up to this moving average, and it's got confluence with this horizontal level of resistance where we might be seeing a rejection off this point. Now again, we could have some sort of failed breakout above this, but any move above it would be unsustainable, and I think we would just have a failed breakout coming back below it once again. So in general, I think we have a long ways to go before we can actually reclaim this zone, and I really want to show a pattern that I'm seeing here in the charts that is very, very similar to the last bear market. So let's go all the way back to 2018, and let's look at something similar here where we had essentially this support zone similar to the one at $1,700 that held in July of 2017. Now this ranges from $170 to around $150. So we had this support bounce off this level, big correction down from this high around $400, taking us down around 57%. Okay, so we bounced off this level, and then we had one last bounce here in September of 2018, and then we fell below it and broke below it. And then you can see that we flipped it into resistance. And this had confluence with the 100-day simple moving average, the same moving average that we have as resistance today. So you can see this very key rejection here, and what we did was we came back down, formed a higher low. Okay, so I'm looking at a very similar pattern here where we might be experiencing the rejection off the 100-day simple moving average and the horizontal level, coming back down and then forming some sort of higher low. And actually, one of the things that I can do here is take a bar pattern just to show you what it would look like if the exact same thing happened that happened back in 2018 and 2019. Now, I will warn you that the exact same thing is never going to happen, and we're not going to see the exact same pattern repeat itself, but I think we could have something similar with a little bit different of an iteration. So if I just drag over this bar pattern, you can see how it lines up pretty nicely with the first drop back down and then a retest of that level. Now, if the exact same thing were to happen, once again, I don't think this is a possibility, but it would mean we're coming back down, forming a higher low around $1,100, retesting this horizontal level a few times before actually breaking above it, and then holding it as support, and that would correspond to around the November timeframe. Now, obviously, we could see several different iterations of this. We could have a scenario where we come back down, instead of printing a higher low, we could have some sort of double bottom where, we come back down, retest this level around $1,000, and then from there we could start to move back up. or any number of iterations. But I generally just want to look at this pattern and say, this is the key level that we have resistance. This is the level I don't expect we're going to have just one retest and then we're done. I think we have to go a little bit longer, a little bit more consolidation, and ideally I do want to see a higher low printed on the daily here, coming back down to around the $1,000 to $1,200 region. Now again, it could have a different iteration. We could have a double bottom. We could even form a lower low for all I know. I just want to see some sort of pattern happen where we start to develop a little bit more of a base, as opposed to just, very brief consolidation, because you can see we only spent a few weeks here. I want to see that a little bit more prolonged, and the current rate of change of this move is a little unsustainable. You can see we're just moving at this pace that is a little bit too quick for me to be very excited. Again, we're up pretty significantly off the lows, up around 100% into this resistance zone, which is very similar to the last cycle. Again, it's a very, very similar pattern, moving back up around 100% from $80 to $160 into resistance. So for me, I'm not too excited at this point. I think we're right into resistance. I think we're having potentially a few weeks of correction ahead of us, and then from there we'll have to take it and see step by step. So I hope you guys did enjoy this content and the analysis. Also, by the way, if you want to check out the sponsor for this channel, you can head over to ftx.us. This is where I buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency. And if you want to use my referral code SNOWYCRYPTO, you can get a 5% discount on your trading fees. I definitely recommend checking that out, and I will leave a link to that in the description below. So again, I hope you guys did enjoy the content, and as always, I will see you in the next one.